State of the Nation, the government's delegation sent on a fact-finding mission to Libya, where over 5,000 Nigerians are held in slave camps, has long returned. There's a major concern, though, when gunmen attacked the only functional Mitiga International Airport in the country, also meant for repatriation efforts. The attack led to the deaths of at least 20 persons, with at least 6 aircrafts damaged. Godwin Moka, Director Research, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, joins me from our Abuja studios. Many thanks indeed for coming on the show at this time. Now, this latest development in Libya seems to be one that has caught the efforts of the government to repatriate thousands of Nigeria in slave camps in Libya in between. Is that the case?
Yes, thank you, Gimba. Good evening. Unfortunately, there are always unforeseen circumstances like this. There were 2 attacks actually this week, and that has prevented the plane that the government had retained from flying to Libya. So it's an unforeseen circumstance, but the federal government delegates or representatives are still on ground in Libya, working with the Libyan authorities to identify Nigerians who are supposed to return.
So what options are left for the Nigerian government now, with reports that all roads leading to that Mitiga International Airport are closed, with military and artillery fire being heard as far as 30 kilometers east of Tripoli, that's in Tajura. What's left for the government now?
Unfortunately, that's the only functional airport from which we could get at our citizens. But the assurances that there's an active effort to ensure that the airport will be opened in the next day or 2. It's an emergency situation, it's a crisis situation, and Libya, we know, is a crisis-prone country for quite a while. So these things happen from time to time, but we're very confident that in a short while, order will be restored.
As of now, still looking at that, concerns are raised almost on a daily basis on the complementary role, if you could look at it as that, the AU and the EU play in African governments' efforts at stopping this slave trade. The question is, are they doing enough?
Well, the AU-EU dialogue on migration has been ongoing for quite a while. The crisis that took place in the Middle East in 2014-2015, the Arab Spring that led to mass migration to Europe, actually put pressure on everyone, so that the normal mechanisms like the Ouagadougou dialogue, the Rabat process and all those could no longer respond. That's why there was this Valletta conference in 2015 that set out very, very strong actions to respond effectively to the migration crisis. The recent problem in Libya was something that also caught the global community unawares. Everybody knew that people were passing through Libya, but the attention was on people who were drowning in the Mediterranean. But I also think that the policy of trying to stop people from crossing into the through the Mediterranean to Europe exacerbated the problem in Libya, because the EU actually tried to shift their borders into Africa so that people do not get to Europe at all. And so they had this agreement with the Libyan government to arm the Libyan Navy to actually intercept those ships and bring the people back to Libya for screening. And that's how some of these camps actually sprung up. So it's an ongoing dialogue. Nobody fully anticipates crisis. There was we're all aware of the conference that I held in Cote d'Ivoire just last month, the AU-EU dialogue on migration. These things were strongly discussed, and strong action is being taken all around. So we believe that in a short while, sanity will be restored.
It is also believed that about 400,000 Nigerians makes that number that you have to grapple with, as a matter of fact. And that most of that 400,000 figure that's been reported is in areas that are inaccessible under the control of Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar, the strongman in Libya. What efforts are you making to see that maybe there are some Nigerians within that region that is inaccessible that want to come back home? How are you tackling that concern?
Yes, thank you very much. Right now, the effort, the effort is to return the 5,000 plus Nigerians who have been identified in open camps or government control camps that and places that are accessible to government authorities and Nigerian authorities. The second level of this effort will be to work through negotiators to get through to these camps. It's not just General Khalifa, there are about three others, at least three areas of interest, people, warlords that are controlling some areas of Libya. So there will be negotiations after that, but let us take out the low-hanging fruits, those people who have been identified, those who are willing to come back, so that thereafter the government is already doing some work in the background to get to use negotiators to get to these camps that are currently inaccessible.
Okay, let's talk about the welfare of those who have returned to this time. I do know that you're making efforts to get state governments to assist with welfare packages for them. Talk to us about that. Yes,
the national response to trafficking, or as it is right now, irregular migration, actually envisages that everyone, not just federal government, the state government, local government, civil society, individuals, private citizens, the corporate Nigeria, everybody should be involved because this is a national emergency. The federal government has made adequate arrangement for the return of our citizens and for their welfare. But state governments are encouraged to also come in and take their citizens and give them the kind of care. But there are minimum standards that are expected, and that is what NATIVS is saying, that if you do not have the wherewithal or they don't have the will or the structure to take care of these people, leave them. The federal government has made adequate arrangements, and we are going to make sure that they are well cared for. But any state that takes them has to make sure that they have adequate arrangements for sheltering, for counseling, for health care, and eventually maybe for retraining and empowerment, because many of them actually need to be economically empowered to be able to become viable again. Some had sold their businesses and properties before traveling. So any state government that wants to help is welcome, but you must provide the minimum care that is required to take care of these people, because, for example, people who have health challenges, you cannot send them back home after 2 days. People who are even worried whether they could get back, whether they will be received back at home, or too ashamed to get back home. You need to also give time to take care of such people.
I'm afraid we're running out of time, but let me quickly squeeze this in. How many have returned to this date?
Just above 1,200 have returned.
Mr. Moka, Godwin Moka, of course, the Director Research of NAPTIP. I want to thank you so much indeed for talking to us here on State of the Nation. And that's how it's been on the program. I want to thank you so much indeed for watching as well. I am Gimba Umar, and this is State of the Nation. Bye for now.